A homeless man casually flipped open a diary he had picked up, and by accident, he discovered an entire little girl's world inside. The diary had been a Christmas gift from her mother, the last one she gave before she died. Her mom told her to write in it every day, because, she said, every single day you're alive matters. The girl didn't really understand why. Her mother told her it was because she loved her more than life itself, and if she wanted to tell her mom about every single day she had lived, the happy ones, the sad ones, even the days when nothing happened at all. She didn't want to forget a single day. That was the night she officially started writing her diary. Then she went to sleep. The homeless man couldn't wait to read on, but after he turned the page, the writing turned into cursive English. He couldn't understand any of it. He stopped passers-by for help, but no one was willing to slow down. Some people found him annoying. Others told him to get lost, even though he had never met the girl. The loneliness in her words struck something deep inside him. The next day, a group to help read the diary. They refused without hesitation. They had only come to complete their ritual, well-dressed, speaking kind-sounding words, handing out books to the suffering, just so they could feel better about themselves. An old man nearby picked up the Bible and threw it away. The homeless man was still troubled by the diary he couldn't read. That's when a woman dropped some change. He could have used that money to buy himself a decent meal. Instead, he walked into a store and bought a set of alphabet flashcards. At the register, a little girl nearby looked at him unhappily. The homeless man didn't explain anything. He simply placed the cards and the money on the counter, asked the girl's mother to pay for him, and quietly walked away. Mom was gone. The homeless man whispered back to the page, saying he was afraid of thunder too. Between the lines, there was nothing but loneliness, and somehow, that loneliness brought them a little closer. Suddenly, the rain came pouring down. The homeless man wrapped the diary tightly in his arms and crawled into a cardboard box to hide from that angel still hadn't appeared. Willie thought this was how he would live forever, until one day, the calm was shattered. As he sat beside his cardboard shelter, a luxury car suddenly stopped in front of him. Someone in the front seat held up a camera. In the back, a rich kid looked at him with open contempt. They suggested that the homeless men fight each other. The winner would get $50. A black homeless man nearby refused on the spot. He said that even if he was poor, he still had dignity, and told them to leave the street. The argument caught Willie's attention. He only walked over to see what was happening, but they assumed he was there for the money. And just like that, two men began fighting. On a narrow, freezing street, the rich kids inside the car lit up with excitement, rolled up the windows, and recorded everything. Willie wasn't weak. Anger pushed him past his limits. In the end, he won the fight. The rich kid jumped out of the car, stuffed $50 into his hand, and cheered loudly. Willie was confused. Something felt wrong, but for the first time since becoming homeless, someone had acknowledged him. $50 could have kept him from starving for a long time, but he didn't use it that way. He took the money and walked into a cheap motel. The owner froze when he saw him, lying on a soft bed. Willie hadn't felt this comfortable in years. He washed the dirt off his body. When he brushed his teeth, his gums bled badly. It had been too long. He watched TV, ate snacks, and enjoyed this brief moment of stability. But the next morning, Willie wasn't in the bed anymore. Not because he couldn't sleep there, but because he was afraid he might get used to it. During the day, he wandered the streets as usual. Then suddenly, across the road, he saw a familiar figure. It was the man who slept across from him every night. Under the burning sun, the man struggled forward in a wheelchair. The man threw the diary on the ground, walked a few steps away, then finally agreed. That was how two homeless men met. Slowly, they became two of the few friends each of them had. Willie called him Pinky. Pinky was a war veteran. He had earned medals, and even taken photos with the president. But the war had taken his legs. He went from hero to homeless man. Medals didn't change reality for $15. Because no one would buy things like that. That sentence completely broke Pinky. He felt humiliated. But no matter how angry he was, to the owner, he was nothing more than a joke. In the end, he could only take the medals back. That night, they found some leftover chicken in a trash can. Even with ants crawling over it, it was still a decent meal. Across the street was an entertainment spot in the slums. Ironically, it also cost $15 to get in. The same price as the medal. The same price as his legs. Because of Pinky, Willie slowly got used to the noise of the streets. Lonely people gathered together, talking, bragging about the past, like a family. Someone asked Willie what his dream was. He thought for a long time, before quietly answering. He didn't want to die alone. His words made everything go silent. Years of homelessness had closed Willie off. Constant drifting left him without any sense of safety. He kept reaching out for the smallest bit of comfort from the world, even if it was just a little. Whether it was a diary thrown into the trash, or an abandoned stray dog, he treated it with care. Willie took the puppy in. When he Girl's diary, she wrote that sometimes she wondered whether her mom could still hear her. Maybe her mom wasn't anywhere at all anymore. Some people, she wrote, only walk with you for a short part of the road. When they leave, you're left alone again. Just like the dog, just like the strangers, who sometimes showed him kindness. They were all just passing through. Even if they brought a little light, the loneliness remained. It took Willie a long time to read each diary entry. That day's entry hit especially hard. Whenever the pain became too much, he rode the bus. He just wanted someone to notice him, even for a second. If someone looked at him, he would smile back, no matter how cold their eyes were. Christmas was come. Climbed onto a rooftop alone. He placed the diary beside him, and imagined the girls sitting next to him, watching the fireworks together. The next morning, the streets fell quiet again. Willie and Pinky searched through trash piles. When Willie found a piece of cardboard, he suddenly had an idea. He wrote on it, "War Hero." The sign worked. People stopped mocking them, and began giving money. They decided to treat themselves once. They returned to the same motel, but went back to the street to sleep. That very night, the rich kids were organizing underground fights again. Willie signed up. He knocked his opponent down in just a few hits. The rich kids were thrilled, and began getting closer to him. For the first time, someone wanted to be near Willie. A long-lost warmth rose inside his chest. The underground fights became a way to make money. Willie became their bargaining chip. A few nights later, Willie and Pinky sat by a fire, keeping warm. Pinky began reading the girl's diary aloud. She had written that for 7 days straight, no one had spoken to her. She lived in loneliness every day. She lit candles to think of her mom, but her drunken uncle broke in and knocked the candle over. Sometimes, she wrote, she wondered if it would have been better if her mom had taken her with her when she left. Willie froze. Pinky was pulled back into his past, to the battlefield, to the little girl taken hostage. He had been forced to pull the trigger. After the war, that memory never left him. After that night, Pinky disappeared. Later, another underground fight spiraled out of control. Someone was beaten down. Everyone ran. Everyone except Willie. The next day, the police asked a few questions, and then left. No one cared about the fate of a homeless man, but guilt crushed Willie. He took the diary to the cemetery and said goodbye at his father's grave. That night, he saw Pinky's medal in a pawn shop window. He bought it. When he returned to the street, he found Pinky frozen to death in his wheelchair. Willie covered him with a blanket, but he never woke up. The next day, Willie hung the medal where Pinky had died. That night, a community officer came looking for him. Only then did Willie realize he had always been nothing more than a toy to the rich. He broke down. He decided to stop writing to the girl. He tried to enlist in the army, but was rejected. When he returned to the streets again, the rich kids showed up once more. This time, no one was willing to fight, until they threatened an old man who was close to starving. Willie stepped forward. When the fight began, he didn't fight back. He even knelt down. The rich kids pulled out the diary, and threatened him with it. Willie rushed into the fire, desperate to save the diary, but it still burned to ashes. His hands were badly burned. In the hospital, Willie kept repeating the words from the diary. Those words were already carved into his heart. Outside the hallway, a little girl covered in bandages stopped walking, following the sound. She came to the hospital room door. She looked at the man in the bed, and felt he was the angel her mother had promised. A few days later, Willie was sent back to the streets. He stood there again, no longer begging, no longer hoping, until, step by step, the moment their eyes met, they recognized each other, faster than thought. He knew it was her, and she knew it was him.